auditor, Henry Ann Westberg, and I worked at the polls, and I would encourage any of you who, when we have an election and want to volunteer, they can usually use extra people, and it's certainly an educational experience. And I have to say, she does a great job at keeping things organized and coming around and seeing what else you need, even though it's a long day, especially with the election that we just had. A little bit of information about Henry Ann. She moved to Latah County in 1976 and graduated from the U of I in wildlife habitat, and then she worked for Latah County for 12 years in the auditor's office and district court, and then she worked for the city for 16 years in the finance department. So she was elected our clerk auditor recorder in 2014. And she has been married 40 years to Wayne, and they have 3 grown children, and we're pleased to have her talk to us today about the last election.
Thank you, Linda. And today with me is my Chief Election Officer, Victoria Shores, and she's going to help me by calling up some of the slides today. And if you have really hard questions, I'm probably going to turn it over to her. She gets into the weeds of things. The first set of slides, I'm just going to jump right into this because we have a lot of territory to cover, and I still want to, have time for questions and answers if you have them. Phil McCrane is the Chief Election Officer for Ada County, and he also runs a little business on elections and that sort of thing. So the first 4 slides we're going to look at are compliments of him, and his data is going to be way more exact than mine. Voter registration is a static thing. It's always changing all the time, so it's, there's some things I could glean from the history reports of elections, but I'm just going to put a disclaimer out there. The material that I put together is more trends in general. Where some of these early slides will be a lot more exact data. And so let's just get started. This is the presidential race in the state of Idaho, and it's breaking down. If you look at the red areas, this is the Republican vote, and if you look at the blue areas, it's the Democratic vote. And if we start back here in 1992, you can see this was the race of Bill Clinton against George H.W. Bush and Ross Perot, and you can see how blue North Idaho is. And then as you move down, the next race is 1996, which was Bill Clinton against Bob Dole and Ross Perot, losing a little bit of that blue. And in 2000, the only blue county was Blaine. That was George Bush and Al Gore race. Moving down here to 2004, this is the George Bush and John Kerry race, and again, only one county in the Democratic. The darker the red, the more Republican the vote. So, just looking at Latah, we start out kind of, I brought a pointer. I should use it. Yes. You can see Latah County is medium blue here. Then we stay medium blue, but we go a little tan in 2000, and here we're almost white, half and half. In 2008, Obama-McCain race, we actually are blue, and 2012 we stayed blue. And you'll notice it's just Blaine County and us, which is interesting. So this was Obama-Romney in 2012, and then in 2016, the Trump-Clinton. And again, Latah County and Blaine County are the 2 one and only. This is Teton County, and it's kind of white. So it kind of gives you an overview. Some of these others, I'll just point out. This is Bannock County, and this is Ada County. So watching the progression, I think, is interesting from 1992 to current. You want to move to the next slide? this slide is, this next slide is going to talk about turnout. So, when you see in 1992 dark colors, that is a strong turnout. And the blue actually represents a low turnout. So looking at Latah County, this is kind of a tan, and we kind of stay tan and get very low turnout in 200 for the Bush Gore. And then down here in 2004, Latah County again has a bit of a blue tint to it for low turnout. But we're starting to get some modeling, you know. This race, huge turnout statewide, low, kind of mixed in here. And then 2008, Latah is still kind of low. And then we go very low in 2012 for that Obama-Romney race. And now we're back to being our medium blue, which surprised me in a way, considering how many absentee ballots and how strong the voter turnout was.
What kind of percentages are those? In other words, if you're that dark red.
Well, down here at the bottom, you can see less than 70% turnout goes up to more than 80% here.
So less than 70 to more than 80.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So the white is at 75%.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I might mention, this is another college town here, Rexburg in Madison County. And this blue area here is Bannock County and Pocatello, another school area. So sometimes I think student population has to be looked at in
What's the county seat then in Teton County?
Teton?
The other blue one?
Oh, I brought my cheat sheet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Teton is Driggs. City of Driggs. Right. So if we move to the next slide, it's going to be participation rates in Idaho presidential elections statewide. And basically what this is telling us is that in 1980, we had a greater percentage of people registered to vote. And nowadays, we have a lot less people registering to vote. And so it just follows those trends. So this is the actual voter turnout. And this is the population that turnout based on the population that were eligible to vote. They were 18, they were a citizen, they could register.
And they didn't.
Yeah. So that's just some of the trends. And again, this spike is that race between Clinton and Bush in 1992. So I think it's just like any election around here. If there's some hot button point that you're interested in, people turn out. And if there's not a lot of excitement about the election, people don't bother to register and they don't bother to turn out. So it kind of correlates. The next slide I think is really interesting because it's the 2016 November election statewide, and we're going to break it down by generation.